Hey, it's Jared with State of Tech. Today we're going to talk about the different chargers that you could use to charge your iPhone. So these days, iPhones aren't coming with chargers anymore, and I'm not super upset about that, even though I did spend $1,000+ on a device and it didn't come with a charger. I haven't used the Apple charger in ages anyways because they're usually underpowered, they're not super convenient in their design, and I can't really use them for multiple other devices. A lot of times I would rather carry one charger that has multiple ports than carry multiple chargers that only have a single port. So we're going to look at a few different chargers and a few different ways to charge your iPhone and look at what is the best option so that you can make the best choices out there. So what are we working with here on the table? Well, we've got several different chargers from Spigen. Spigen is a company that makes third-party accessories for the iPhone. I've talked a lot about their cases in the past in different videos, and they've got really nice chargers, and we're going to take a look at some of those. We're going to look at MagSafe Charging, both with the Apple MagSafe Charger and an aftermarket MagSafe Charger, and we'll also look at cable charging as well as a baseline for charging our phone. So what I have here on the table is a Apple MagSafe charger that is in a really nice stand by GroveMade. GroveMade makes these amazing stands that are just super nice. It has a heavy base on it, and so when I drop my iPhone right into it, it holds it up. I don't have to worry about my iPhone flipping over. I could rotate my iPhone at 90 degrees as well into landscape. And this is just a great stand with a beautiful design to it. It has the nice walnut finish, as you can see, a metal plate here, and then a heavy base that keeps the iPhone nice and stable. I have this on my desk, and it's a great accessory to have on my desk. I really want to buy another one and put it on my nightstand at home so that my iPhone is tilted up, because I use my iPhone as a alarm for the morning as well as a secondary to my Apple Watch, because I can sleep through anything. So let's start talking about charging. The first thing that we're going to do is grab our good old traditional cable, and we're going to utilize this cable with a couple of these different chargers that we have from Spigen. So let's talk about the chargers first. We have a very small one, which is a 30-watt charger with a USB-C cable, a USB-C output here. 30 watts is plenty to charge an iPhone, an iPad, any single device. 30 watts is going to support fast charging, and it's going to get your device topped off pretty quickly, assuming that your device supports it. Single port, 30 watts. Then we jump all the way up to 70 watts with dual ports. 70 watts is plenty of power to charge both your iPhone quickly and even an iPad. An iPad's going to take a little bit more power to charge than an iPhone. 70 watts with dual ports will get you there. And then we jump up to the 100 watt option, which still has dual ports, but 100 watts could actually charge a laptop as well. So if you have a MacBook Air, a 13-inch MacBook Pro, probably even the 14-inch new MacBook Pro will charge relatively quickly with this 100 watt. This 100 watt is more wattage than the standard charger that comes with the baseline laptops from Apple, even a lot of baseline laptops that come from other brands. 100 watts should get you there. I know that the new MacBook Pro 16-inch with the M1 Pro Max chip comes with a, I believe, 135 watt charger. So this would still charge your laptop. It just wouldn't charge it as fast. But most of the laptops that Apple puts out are utilizing 100 or less watt chargers, usually 95. I think there's a 75 watt, and older laptops have even less than that. So this bigger guy will charge much more of your technology. But what I tend to carry with me is the 70 watt because it has dual ports, it has plenty of power. I could even trickle charge my laptop with this particular device. It would not charge it fast, but it would charge it nonetheless. 70 watts for me, I think, is the sweet spot, and I've got links to these chargers down in the description below. So if we are charging over a cable, what kind of performance are we getting? What kind of transfer are we getting? Because there's transfer with data. We know how fast data transfers. Sometimes if Wi-Fi is slow, data isn't transferring slow. But our phones also have that transfer of electricity as well. And how fast is our phone actually charging? Well, I have a cool little device that we're going to use together to try and figure that out here. So I've got this, and since this 30 watt here is USB-C and my Apple cable that I have is not, I'm just going to use a simple adapter here to adapt USB type A to USB type C. And we're going to plug a cable into our 30 watt here, plug that into power, like so. So we're plugged into power. Now with our little device here, I'm going to go USB-C in, and this should power it up. And as you can see here on the screen, we have 5.13 volts and no draw currently on our device because we're not plugged into anything. So I'll go ahead and plug in our cable, which doesn't change anything. It did for a split second there, but it didn't change anything. I've got my iPhone 13 Pro Max here, and let's go ahead and plug this in and see what we get now. All right, so you can see that we are almost at 1 full amp. We're at 0.96 amps, 0.965 amps of draw. And so you can see here what we're getting. That's not bad. I mean, that's fast charging right there. And so not too shabby at all. So keep that in mind. We are at 0.97, I'd say 0.97 amps as far as our draw. And so as I unplug that, you can see that goes back to 0. So that is a good indication of how fast our device is charging based on how much electricity it is sucking in to charge up that battery. So now that we have a baseline of that 0.97 or 0.96, we can move on and see what wireless charging looks like. So let's take our MagSafe. So we've got our MagSafe that is attached to our nice GroveMade stand here. This is the Apple MagSafe, and we're going to take the USB-C of the MagSafe and plug it in and take a look here. Now, I've already done this once before, and so this is not a surprise to me, but it should be interesting. Let's just go ahead and unplug this and plug this back in. And we're going to plug in our MagSafe charger. Notice the draw right now. It's basically zeroed out. And as we plug in the MagSafe, look at that. We are getting basically 0.3, 0.5. It's kind of blipping around. We have power draw, and we don't even have a phone on the MagSafe charger. So MagSafe in and of itself draws power doing absolutely nothing at all. Because of the type of technology, the wireless technology, it is using electricity, not charging anything at all. And you can see as it's blipping around there, it's 0.3, sometimes blipping up to 0.5 amps, 0.05, sorry. So let's go ahead and throw the iPhone on and take a look and see what we get. The iPhone is charging, as you saw the ring just pop up. And you can see we are at 0.3. Oh, well, no, there it goes. It's jumped up. It's jumped up now to 0.9, 0.96. It's really flopping around there a bit. Anywhere between 0.92 and 0.98 I've seen it go up to. So in my opinion, this is just as good as what we are seeing with wired charging, traditional wired charging. Oh boy, look at that. It pumped up. I don't know if you can see this because the screen went a little dark. We are up at 1.2, 1.3. This is better than cable charging. And so MagSafe is better at right now. It just kicked into high gear, I guess. And now we are getting some really good charging performance here. But keep in mind, I mean, I take my phone off of this and watch it drop down. It's at like 0.1 and then it drops down to 0.3, 0.03, 0.05 again. It is utilizing a little bit of power just sitting there doing nothing. So that's something important to think about, especially as electricity costs are not cheap. So now that we've looked at MagSafe with our 30 watt, let's just go ahead and look at MagSafe with something higher than 30 watts. Let's not go to 70, let's go straight to 100 and see if there is a charging difference here. So we're just going to plug this in. You can see we've got basically about the same draw as far as voltage, 5.2. It's just a tiny bit higher than the 30 watt device, which makes sense because this is a bigger device. So let's go ahead and plug in MagSafe and let's see what we've got. Okay, we've got basically the same 0.03, 0.05 blip going on of power being consumed. Let's go ahead and drop our iPhone on and see if our iPhone kicks in to a higher gear and gets even better charging performance because of the 100 watt. Personally, I don't think so, because 30 watts is plenty to get us to where we were with the 1.3 amps. So let's just go ahead and wait for a couple of seconds. It definitely was blipping around this area before it kicked into high speed and went up to like 1.3. So I'm sure just as it did before, I mean, it's going to do the same thing now. We wait for a minute here as it really starts to kind of creep up and get up into 1.3. And as we can see, it's working its way there right now. Of course, my phone is at almost full charge. It's at like 97%. And so maybe if my phone was closer to dead, we might even see it kick in and charge even faster. But as you can see, 1.3, that is about 1.2, that is about what we can expect here from this device. So let's move traditional MagSafe off to the side. This is traditional Apple MagSafe off to the side, and we are going to look at a third-party MagSafe charger from Spigen. This is the same company that makes the charging blocks that we're looking at. So let's first plug in. Let's just unplug the device so I can power cycle it. Go ahead and plug it in. We will plug this in and see what kind of power draw we're getting. You can see we're at like 0.01 with a little bit up of a blip to 0.04 every now and then. So this particular charger is utilizing a little bit less electricity sitting at idle than our Apple MagSafe was. And so now let's take the iPhone and drop it onto this MagSafe charger, which doesn't have as strong of a magnet as... there we go. It's not quite as strong of a magnet as the other MagSafe charger, but it's still not too bad. So let's see what we're getting now. Right now we're climbing. We're at like 0.5 amps, a half an amp. We're climbing a little bit. We're up at 0.6. And let's see if this kicks into any sort of overdrive and gets us up to 1.3. We have heard people reporting in the past of the MagSafe charger, like Apple, it knows it's a MagSafe charger for some reason, and it doesn't give the same performance out of charging to MagSafe when you're using a third party. So somehow the frequency Apple knows, and it gives performance increase to its own brand of MagSafe chargers, which is kind of weird. I don't know how they do that, but nonetheless, they do that somehow. So, you know, we're looking at like 0.64, so we're getting, you know, about half of the performance that MagSafe, Apple's MagSafe charger was giving us. Okay, we're jumping up to 0.7, 0.8. Let's see if we can get up to at least 1, because the cost difference between the Spigen brand and Apple's brand might be the differentiator there too. I mean, okay, look, we're up at 1 now. Maybe if we get up a little bit higher, I mean, yes, it seems to take a little bit longer for us to get to that 1 amp draw, that like quick charge draw, but we're getting there, and that's pretty quick. And for the price difference, the Spigen charger being significantly cheaper than the Apple one, that might be a differentiator for you. So as you can see, like we're hovering around 1, sometimes blipping down below. As I mentioned, my phone is not really dead, and so that might be a factor there in the fact that my phone is not, it's not kicking up to a higher energy draw. But I'm just going to call it and say that we can expect around 1 amp out of this aftermarket charger. So what is the final response, or my final thought to which charger should you use for your iPhone? Well, I think when it comes to these different charger sizes, it really comes to what you're needing to charge. As I mentioned at the beginning, we've got the 30, the 70, the 100 here, and I shared my use cases with you. So if you're looking for just a charger to charge your iPhone, the 30 watt is going to be plenty for you. And as we saw, there's really no performance difference in this smaller guy with 1 port than the bigger 100 watt with dual ports. Now that might change. If you wanted to charge 2 devices, the 100 watt would be more than enough to charge 2 devices. If I had 2 of these little meters here, we could charge both an iPhone and an iPad at the same time and see if we get max charging performance out of both. But, we're not going to go down that nerdy rabbit hole together this morning. We're just going to leave it alone and call it and say that these Spigen chargers do a great job. They're very well built, good performance out of them, as you saw. MagSafe has a power draw, even when you're not charging. That's an interesting bit of information. And if you're hearing that for the first time, thumbs up this video to let me know. And then also that there are aftermarket MagSafe options like this Spigen MagSafe aftermarket, a little bit bigger of a footprint than the Apple MagSafe. So if I pop this out, this particular one is not going to fit in the same hole here. It's a little bit larger of a puck than the MagSafe charger. So if you're not wanting to spend all of that money on MagSafe or get a secondary MagSafe, the Spigen MagSafe is a great option as well. So I've got links to all this stuff down in the comment section below, including this cool little meter here from AVHZY. I'm sure there's a way to pronounce that. This is cool. I love things like this. So I've linked to that down below too, just in case you want to nerd out like me and order that little piece of technology. But that's going to do it for this video. If you found it interesting, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I put out new videos. And I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.